Some talk radio networks broadcast whatever they want to, whether the vibration is high or low, without regard for another's journey. They focus on the problem and not the solution. Other networks tune in to the highest vibration possible to help us live life full out, to help us stand in our yes, and cultivate a platform for positive change.
Hey everybody, how's it going? You're with Artie and Sky, the dynamic duo.
Hello, this is Colette Marie Steffen. Welcome to The Truth is Funny on Transformation Talk Radio.
You're listening to The Human Experience. I'm Dr. Steve Maraboli.
Hello, this is Dr. Nusheen Darvish.
And hi, I'm Dr. Pat Tasseli, and you are listening to Lyme Talk Radio. These networks don't come often. But when they do, they remind us that we can achieve anything that is possible. To help ourselves, to help others, and to help the planet.
Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Jeff Lineweaver, and you're listening to Dialogue Radio.
Hello and welcome to the Psychic Love Doctor Show.
Hey everybody, it is so great. I'm Dr. Pat. Thank you so much for joining us.
This is Dr. Ronnie, your host.
Hi everyone, and welcome to We Carry the Light. I'm Dr. Susan.
Hi, this is Chuck Gallagher with Straight Talk Radio.
These networks aren't concerned with bombarding us with bad news. They aren't concerned with sensationalizing an individual's setbacks or challenges. These networks focus on amazing, innovative broadcasting.
Hello, everyone. It's great to be back here with you today. I'm Dr. Jen.
Oh, welcome to Voices of Women.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kelly Ballard.
They provide a distinct blend of live talk radio interviews with a mix of uplifting and intelligent educational information.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to Psychic World. I am indeed John G. Sutton.
Hello, everyone. I am Dr. Kelly, and you are listening to Lucid Planet Radio.
Hello there. This is Leslie Fontaine. This is Sheer Alchemy.
These innovative networks remind us that everything is possible, that nothing is limited.
Habits of Health Talk with Russ McCann.
Welcome to Spirit Fire Radio. I'm Tim Darter.
And I'm Steve Kramer.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Christine Upchurch Show.
Transformation Radio is one of these networks.
Views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
Hi, welcome. This is Dr. John DeMartini. This is one of the most amazing and inspiring shows that you can listen into. If you want to be on the edge of your seats, if you want to open up your heart, if you want to expand your mind, and you want to meet incredible people, stay tuned because you're just about to experience a transformative radio show that will change your life. And you're listening to the Dr. Pat Show that's coming up right next.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. Talk radio to thrive by. Powerful, inspiring, and coming to you live, bringing you stories of people like you and me, busting through and living life full out. Get ready to dare to wonder what your life would be like if you knew you could not fail.
Hey, everyone. I'm so excited about these very, very cool interviews we are doing. Today, we get to chat with and hear from 3 diverse individuals. Now, think about it. If you would have asked me 14 years ago that I would be having a conversation with Elizabeth Romero, the division executive, small business of Bank of America, if you'd have asked me if I was going to be doing that today, I would have looked at you and said, I don't think so. But, how about talking with someone who has been out in the world, making sure that we put an end to violence in the world and LGBTQ communities and looking at what the risk and the reality is. You know, in the world we live in today, we're being challenged by inclusivity. And these three conversations really shine a light on how each and every one of us can become more and more and more socially responsible in the world. You know, this is something that many of you might be thinking, well, I am socially responsible. But, you know, let's talk for a minute. What about someone that's bringing a conversation to the forefront about pregnancy counseling? And how do we look at that? That's Heather Bert. And why is that now a conversation that so many people want to find out more about? Well, that's what today's show is about. We've never shied away from conversations that bring us to a level of enlightenment that we might not have had before, or conversations that might be a bit edgy, or conversations that share information, real news about people doing great work in the world. I am so thrilled to have these three folks joining us here today, a celebration of women in what I like to call an empowered state of transformation. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back.
Wow. Hey, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. This is Talk Radio to Thrive By. I'm telling you, I got to pinch myself some days, because when each of us gets called to do something that we so not thought was in our wheelhouse to do for a purpose that's so much greater than us, we get to show up and shine.
If you would like to show up and shine on the Dr. Pat Show as a co-host or sponsor, send us an email to inspire@thedrpatshow.com.
Miss any shows during the week? Don't worry, we've got you covered. With the free Transformation Talk Radio app, you'll have access to all of the past week's shows in the palm of your hand. Tune in to Transformation Talk Radio anywhere you go with our free app for any of your devices. Check out our app in the App Store and Google Play Store today.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show, Talk Radio to Thrive By. I am so thrilled to be talking to all of you. We have got talk radio for all of us. Are you ready and willing and able to accept all of the abundance you can muster up in your life? Check us out at drpatshow.com, transformationtalkradio.com, transformationradio.fm. Oh my goodness.
Transformation Talk Radio is dedicated to the education and awareness of Lyme disease.
Welcome to Lyme Talk Radio. I'm Dr. Pat Baccili, the host of the Dr. Pat Show, and I am so thrilled that we've created this venue for all of you out there.
Dr. Pat Baccili will be bringing the most innovative, groundbreaking information, research, treatment innovations, and stories from those it affects every day.
What we have heard is that you want to ensure for us that we keep positive, holistic, uplifting, transformative talk radio on the air. We're excited to bring you the contemporary conversations about Lyme disease.
We promise not to let the light fade on Lyme.
So fasten your seatbelts. We've got lots more to share with you in the weeks to come.
Tune into Lyme Talk Radio with Dr. Pat and help keep our mission strong on transformationtalkradio.com.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show, Talk Radio to Thrive By. I am so thrilled to be talking to all of you. We have got talk radio for all of us. Are you ready and willing and able to accept all of the abundance you can muster up in your life? Check us out at drpatshow.com, transformationtalkradio.com, transformationradio.fm. Oh my goodness.
Hey, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to the show. I am thrilled, also honored to be talking about the risk and reality of violence in LGBTQ communities. The reason that I am thrilled, but alarmed as well, is that Tasseli McKay is joining me here to help us understand what the latest findings that have been put together by RTI, which is an international research group. Now, let me just tell you a little bit about my guest today. You know, she is a social science researcher with more than a decade of experience in public health research. Ms. McKay's research examines intimate partner violence in marginalized communities, couple and family relationships in the context of justice system involvement, and strategies for improving health coverage and access to care among justice-involved persons. What this means, boy, she fights for the people that are not always able to fight for themselves, and she does it through data. She has extensive experience in study design, instrument development, qualitative and quantitative analysis, and dissemination of findings through articles, issues, briefs, technical reports, and presentations. Today, you're going to be able to find out more about this report and research yourself by going to www.rti.org. The information that we're talking about today is not going to present the findings you might think. Hate and violence still exists. You all have heard me talk about this before. Why do you think it is we're creating an entire channel, Radio LGBTQ? Why are we doing that? Because there's much that is unsaid. Today, I am so thrilled that we're ready to have a conversation about violence in LGBTQ and communities. Tasseli, welcome to the show. This is a big topic, isn't it?
It sure is, and I really appreciate you having me on to talk about what the evidence tells us.
Yeah, let me talk about you for a minute. You know, each of us gets to pick our point in life. What is it that got your attention in this area of research, but also in this area of activism?
Well, my passion is really looking at the bigger social issues and policy questions from the perspective of facts and evidence, as opposed to, making decisions in those arenas based on bias or fear or things other than the facts in front of us.
Yeah. You know, here's my question. I know we're going to talk about a lot of information today, but I want to know what shocked you in this study, and tell us a little bit about it. What was your that kind of reaction?
So, we looked across 20 years of research on violence in LGBTQ communities. And then we also worked with the Henny Group to do focus group interviews, talking with members of LGBTQ communities all around the country, in San Francisco, New York, rural Wyoming, here in Durham, North Carolina, where my organization, RTI International, is based, about those findings and about the pattern that we were seeing in the research evidence that LGBTQ individuals are at high risk for victimization, whether we're looking at physical or sexual assault, bullying or harassment, hate crime, and, really in childhood all the way through adulthood.
Yeah. This is really the conversation that many people are wanting to have but afraid to have. And that is looking at research, looking at studies, and really looking at it from the perspective of, now what are we going to do? Can we do something? I want to ask you this question. We think we've come a really long way of accepting LGBT community and individuals. What's the reality of that?
Boy, I mean, that's one of the things about our study findings that shocked me the most. Absolutely. We all want to think that things are getting better out there in general and for LGBTQ people specifically. And what the evidence shows us is that anti-LGBTQ victimization, for the most part, has been holding steady over the last couple of decades, since the 1990s, when studies first began to look at it. And in fact, some forms of victimization, especially those that affect young people, actually appear to be getting worse.
Wow. I mean, that's got to be shocking because we have a perspective about our young people. And can I ask this question? When you say about our young people, you're talking about young people attacking, harassing, or bullying other young people. You're not talking about older people doing that to LGBTQ folks. I mean, I think it's an important question because we're talking about peer group.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, we're talking about both. I think what comes out most strongly is that LGBTQ youth are experiencing victimization in a variety of settings, from peer groups at school, absolutely. Bullying, hate-related verbal abuse at school for youth who either are LGBTQ or even are perceived as being LGBTQ. In one sample, anywhere from 11 to 14% of high school age students reported experiencing anti-LGBTQ verbal abuse just in the last 30 days.
Yeah.
And so, really it's commonplace in schools. And unfortunately, we're seeing it. A lot of the victimization is also happening in homes. So LGBTQ youth are experiencing hate-related victimization from parents and siblings too.
Yeah. Can you give us an extent of what you think the level of risk is? Now, I know that's a tough question, and being a researcher myself, I know it's hard to answer. But there's this term bullying, and then we don't fully play that out. What you're looking at in the social science, and you're a social science researcher, what you're looking at is, if I can just say it, violence. And that may be way broader than bullying, don't you think?
Absolutely. And, again, when we look at patterns across this whole body of evidence, that's one thing that really jumps out, that we're not just talking about bullying. We're not just talking about a single form of abuse. We're seeing LGBTQ people at elevated risk for many different forms of violence and abuse. And that's really sobering, I think. And we're also seeing that among young people, it appears they're most at risk in the settings where we as adults would most presume that they're safe, in their homes, in their schools. And this phenomenon of school-based victimization really has some profound effects. It's really strongly and consistently associated with, skipping school, dropping out of school, lower achievement in school, even very strongly associated with the risk of attempting suicide. And, the link to health is also really clear. So, among youth, the link between victimization and its effects on especially mental health, substance abuse, sexual risk-taking. And then we also see, that these effects stay with people years later. So adults who were victimized potentially years ago, you can still see impacts on their physical health, their behavioral health. And that's part of why it seems so clear that we need to be working harder at preventing it.
There are many things we can talk about. I have to tell you, I was very, very impressed with the work that you do and also the recent award that you received, your organization. Integrity in findings is one of the hottest issues of our time. And I want to congratulate RTI for your level of integrity and being acknowledged by the community in a world right now where we're questioning the validity of everything. And here's what I want to ask you as we're coming up this June on an anniversary about Stonewall. What would you say is your top 3 messages for policymakers, and the communities at large? What would you say? Please pay attention to these 3 things.
Well, one is certainly the public education issues that we've been talking about. We believe we have a system of equal opportunity public education, and yet we now have evidence that a certain significant population of students doesn't feel safe at school, and in fact is not safe at school. And until we make our schools safe and secure places for all young people to learn, we really can't say we have equal opportunity education system. So I think that's something that really needs to be addressed. And there are some very concrete local strategies for addressing it. The research tells us that schools that have gay-straight student alliances have lower rates of anti-LGBTQ victimization than schools that don't. And yet in many local communities, including here in North Carolina, we hear stories about school administrators and principals who actively forbid those groups from existing in their schools. And, as taxpayers and members of the general public, I think we could be doing more to hold our education system accountable there. I think the other thing that's really important to take away from this is, clearly when we look across these last couple of decades, since the 1990s, a time when I think our kind of collective perception is that things are getting better. It's so evident that this problem is not getting better, and it's not going to take care of itself. And a lot of the research on violence and victimization in general, even when we're not talking about the LGBTQ community specifically, a really important frontier in that research has to do with the role of bystanders in preventing and responding to victimization. And that's broad. It's not just about ways that we can step up and intervene when we see hate speech or harassment or even violence, but it's also about understanding that we're all bystanders in creating this larger social climate that either encourages and promotes victimization of LGBTQ individuals or starts to turn the corner and say, this is not okay.
Do you find, and I know we have, first of all, thank you for spending this time with us. Do you believe that, the LGBTQ community, do you believe that they feel that if they did call out and say, this is a violation, that in today's world, people will step up and say, yes, it is, and we're going to help?
Oh, that's a great question. And that's another area where the research evidence is a little unsettling. So there are a number of studies that show that in various populations of LGBTQ individuals, that people report a real reluctance to report victimization to authorities, and in particular, a real reluctance around reporting hate-related victimization because they expect to be further stigmatized and potentially discriminated against even as they're seeking help.
Yeah, what's so alarming about this is, let's talk about the flip side, where people think that if they are in public, let's say, with persons or a person from the LGBT community, which is an actual human being, if I might say. These labels are strange, aren't they? We're talking about people. If people faces people, there really isn't any harm. But do we still believe that there is? Do we still believe that?
It's a great question about what our underlying drivers and beliefs are. And I think it's a particularly potent question when we're living in this clearly very contradictory time, where young people are getting the message, it's okay to be yourself. And then when they are, they're targets for violence and victimization, and not just from the wider community, but sometimes from their own parents and siblings. I think those are big questions that you're raising, and they're ones that really require some introspection.
Well, I know you've got to run. You've got a big job. You've done a fantastic, absolutely fantastic job to present this material to the public in the world, and you so represent it beautifully. So thank you for your time today.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pat. It's great talking with you.
All right, everyone, we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back.
Miss any shows during the week? Don't worry, we've got you covered. With the free Transformation Talk radio app, you'll have access to all of the past week's shows in the palm of your hand. Tune in to Transformation Talk Radio anywhere you go with our free app for any of your devices. Check out our app in the App Store and Google Play Store today.
Imagine a world where good news, positive information and stories were the mainstream. Tell us your positive story. #PositivityRules. You are listening to the Transformation Radio Network.
Wow. Hey, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. This is Talk Radio to Thrive By. I'm telling you, I got to pinch myself some days, because when each of us gets called to do something that we so not thought was in our wheelhouse to do, for a purpose that's so much greater than us, we get to show up and shine.
If you would like to show up and shine on the Dr. Pat Show as a co-host or sponsor, send us an email to inspire@thedrpatshow.com.
Listen while you work. Streaming live on any device. Tune in to the Transformation Radio Network. Visit transformationradio.fm.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show, Talk Radio to Thrive By. I am so thrilled to be talking to all of you. We have got talk radio for all of us. Are you ready and willing and able to accept all of the abundance you can muster up in your life? Check us out at drpatshow.com, transformationtalkradio.com, transformationradio.fm. Oh my goodness.
Did you know that all of the shows on the Transformation Radio Network are available as podcasts to stream or download?
Really?
Check us out. Go to transformationradio.fm. We have business shows, spiritual shows, energy healing shows, and pretty much everything in between. Something for everyone, guaranteed to inspire, educate, and transform. We are transforming the world, one listener at a time.
Are you traveling most of your day? Do you want to take Transformation Talk Radio with you anywhere you go? Well, guess what? There's an app for that. Just go to the App Store on your Apple device or the Google Play Store on your Android and search Transformation Talk Radio. Catch all of our live shows no matter where you are. Thanks for listening.
Welcome, everyone. Today, we are absolutely thrilled to be talking about Hispanic small business owners and what they expect in 2017. First and foremost, they expect a banner year. And that is what the Bank of America survey reveals. Joining us here today is Elizabeth Romero, who is the Small Business Central Division Executive for Bank of America. Now, the Central Division is responsible for delivering small business solutions to clients across 10 states. Being a small business owner myself, I am very eager to hear what Elizabeth has to say. You know, she's someone that has been taking this message, giving the results to the people out in the world with one thing in mind, is for each of us to become more aware, more encouraged, and recognize what the opportunities are in the world today for Hispanic small business owners. Elizabeth, welcome to the show. It's great to have you here.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be with you.
You know, this is one of those times where we get to talk about one of the fastest growing segments of small business in the small business sector. I want to ask you, now looking at the results, and we're going to talk about, Spotlight in a minute. Now looking at the results, you must have had some aha moments as we look at what is being said and what the community is now saying. What were your top 3 ahas, if we could?
Yeah, it's interesting how you said, how you grew up and yep. Family entrepreneurs. It's the same thing for me. I grew up with my father, my husband. So, when I think about what this actually told us and some of the ahas for me is, one, not a surprise about the optimism that came across, but I would say is when we think about the overall comparison of the plan to hire in 2017, our Hispanic small business owners are 54%, where the non-Hispanic business owners are at 24% from an overall hiring for 2017. The other thing I would say is the opportunity there's really out there from an overall lending. That when we think about the lending, that's actually very, very important for an entrepreneur, small business owner. For 2017, a Hispanic small business owner 4 times more to apply for a loan than a non-Hispanic. And the overall approval of the loan application is almost equally the same.
Well, there is a perception, isn't there? At least I know in my family, there's a perception that, there is maybe less opportunities out there for lending. But there's one thing that I think you and I can talk about here as a result of this report. There are many, many, many opportunities. Are the challenges, Elizabeth, are we seeing the challenges that once existed lessen?
Yeah. So, I would say the perception is not the reality here. The challenges that once upon a time probably were out there, we're seeing actually become more positive, where there are small business owners, Hispanic small business owners are doing a really good job on going into financial centers and getting that advice and getting in front of that specialist to really get advice on what they could do, and they're doing a really good job at it.
There's a lot of things we can talk about. By the way, I love the report, and I love, what you all have done to bring some very, very important to the forefront. More inspiring than, I've seen in previous years. I was really struck by the statistic on the plan to grow business over the next 5 years. And, how much, statistically, that is a huge gap between the Hispanic business owners and the non-Hispanic owners. I think it was like 76%. Now that is optimism in reality, isn't it?
Correct. Yeah. So the plan to the growth, it's the 76 for Hispanic, 55 for non-Hispanic. Yep. And that attributes a lot to the optimism. It attributes a lot to that we're seeing a lot of new businesses actually coming in as well too, and a lot of the support they're getting from their family as well.
Yeah. What would you say is characteristic of the information that you discovered? I know that you probably looked at this and said, wow, this is really amazing. These are the things that we really need to fuel the economy. These are the things that create the backbone of what people do. What would you see, though, is highly characteristic of turning this perception and this optimism into action and deliver these results? What would you say is leading the way?
I would say one is the passion and pride that our small business owners have And really that American dream that they have as well too, and that pride that they carry on being that provider for their family and making sure that they have something to be able to provide to their loved ones.
Yeah. I want to ask you this question since you mentioned family here. One of the things that I know of in my own family background, you probably do as well, but this information that you provided really talks to it. It really talks to how important family and friends are, not just from a support, but also financially. Can you talk to that? Because that is a very, very prominent aspect, I feel, of this study.
Absolutely. So family, friends, community is very, very important in the support of the Hispanic small business owners. Here's some stats that I'll share with you, which it's shocking to see this, but this is where the optimism is really coming in. 42% said that they will pass their business to a family member, and when we compare that to the non-Hispanic, it's 18%. Yeah. So not only is it telling us the stats, but what it's really telling us is they seek for that advice, they seek for that emotional assistance as well too, and where the family is always there for them to support them and help them.
Well, this is really, for me, one of the game changers in the report, but also in the reality of what it takes to get a small business off the ground and then run it. This level of support, do you believe that this level of support, not just here, but also, the information that came back about, the community role, is this the thing that we can point to say that in the Hispanic community, people will come together, will rise up for the success of another?
Yeah, I would say based on the survey that we did, the community support is very vital to the Hispanic business owners and their success. 69% stated that the local community is important for their overall success of the business. So it is very important, and it's very vital to see that.
What would you say to folks that are listening to the show? What would you say if there was if there are a few things, Elizabeth, that you could say, keep your eye on this, be mindful of this, just be watchful of this? What would you say those things might be?
So, I could speak to many different factors. One being that a small business owner that has that dream and wants to open their first business, or it could be that small business owner that already established their business, or it could be that small business owner that probably has an opportunity to really even grow even more. The number one advice I would say is having that fear and being scared, it's normal. But seek for advice and walk into our financial center, Bank of America, where we have our specialists, where they're there to help you and advise you. As a matter of fact, they could also give you people that you could network with, people that you could actually go with in different organizations to be able to support you as well, too. So there's different factors that we have to be able to help our small business owners.
Elizabeth, you may not call yourself this, but I certainly look at you in this way, clearly an executive, Bank of America, but I also look at you as being a leader in the community, as someone that has come forth, that has become a spokesperson. And I would like to ask you, what would you like your legacy to be? What would you want folks to know about you and the work that you've done when all is said and done?
What I would say is I carry a lot of passion. I love to hear the great things that are happening within the community, the great positive impact that Bank of America has for our small business owners. I am Bank of America. I am the brand of Bank of America, and it's great to actually see this positive, this optimism, and this growth that's actually not only for this year, but for the overall coming year.
Passion and purpose is what started this network. I'm not sure how much you know about us. We're 14 years in the making, and we're getting ready to launch a 10-channel network. And one of the channels will be for Hispanic entrepreneurs and will be for people that want to hear and listen to uplifting messages and get solutions. And so my last question, and thank you so much for today, and also I want to thank you for everything that you do. What's your personal message, Elizabeth? What would you like to leave us with? Two passionate women on the phone here.
Yeah, my message would be is follow your dream. Do not give up, and it's okay to have that fear out there. That's just a demonstration that you care for your overall business and your dreams that you have coming through.
Thank you for today. Thank you for all you do. Elizabeth Romero, everybody. And guess what? We actually have that 2017 Hispanic Spotlight Report, and we're going to make sure we post the link for all of you out there. Let's take a short break, everyone. We'll be right back.
Transformation Talk Radio is dedicated to the education and awareness of Lyme disease.
Welcome to Lyme Talk Radio. I'm Dr. Pat Tasseli, the host of the Dr. Pat Show, and I am so thrilled that we've created this venue for all of you out there.
Dr. Pat Tasseli will be bringing the most innovative, groundbreaking information, research, treatment innovations, and stories from those it affects every day.
What we have heard is that you want to ensure for us that we keep positive, holistic, uplifting, transformative talk radio on the air. We're excited to bring you the contemporary conversations about Lyme disease.
We promise not to let the light fade on Lyme.
So fasten your seatbelts. We've got lots more to share with you in the weeks to come.
Tune into Lyme Talk Radio with Dr. Pat and help keep our mission strong on transformationtalkradio.com.
Imagine a world where good news, positive information and stories were the mainstream. Tell us your positive story. #PositivityRules. You are listening to the Transformation Radio Network.
Are you traveling most of your day? Do you want to take Transformation Talk Radio with you anywhere you go? Well, guess what? There's an app for that. Just go to the App Store on your Apple device or the Google Play Store on your Android and search Transformation Talk Radio. Catch all of our live shows no matter where you are. Thanks for listening.
Wow. Hey, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. This is Talk Radio to Thrive By. I'm telling you, I got to pinch myself some days because when each of us gets called to do something that we so not thought was in our wheelhouse to do for a purpose that's so much greater than us, we get to show up and shine.
If you would like to show up and shine on the Dr. Pat Show as a co-host or sponsor, send us an email to inspire@thedrpatshow.com.
Did you know that all of the shows on the Transformation Radio Network are available as podcasts to stream or download?
Really?
Check us out. Go to transformationradio.fm. We have business shows, spiritual shows, energy healing shows, and pretty much everything in between. Something for everyone, guaranteed to inspire, educate, and transform. We are transforming the world, one listener at a time.
Today joining us is Heather Bert. Now listen, Heather began her career at Bethany as a pregnancy counselor immediately after graduating from Elizabethtown College and later from Widener University. Now, why is she talking with us here today? She's been at Bethany for 24 years and has served in adoption, foster care, post-adoption support. In 2014, Heather was named as the director of the GDV office, and she feels called to care for children and families. She's got a passion to serve vulnerable children and families with a sense of urgency and excellence, and is committed to bring an advocate and voice to help children find stable, loving homes. Heather has been married to the love of her life for almost 22 years, so she gets this. Heather, thank you so much for today. It's great to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be a part of this today.
Oh, my gosh. Let's start at the beginning. I want to ask you, many people may not know what pregnancy counseling is about or what the Appreciation Day is about. And I want to start with this question. There are challenges in the world today for women, for couples that perhaps are in pregnancy mode, as we like to say. What is it that gets you on fire to talk about this and to be of service?
Well, today is a perfect example. I think Pregnancy Counselor Appreciation Day is because we wanted to highlight the incredible work that our pregnancy counselors do. And what they do is to come alongside women and men who find themselves facing an unintended pregnancy. And they, our counselors play this pivotal role in the lives of women and men or couples who are making and facing perhaps one of the biggest decisions that they may ever encounter. And that's what I'm passionate about, is this sense of, when you're in the situation and you don't know what to do and where do you turn. And, Bethany has these incredible, I like to call them rock stars, our pregnancy counselors, and that's where you can turn when you're scared and you're alone and you just don't know what to do because you're in this situation, which we're estimating about 37% of births are unintended in the United States, which is a fairly high number. What do I do? You can turn to our pregnancy counselors, and we felt the need to say, we want to celebrate you. We want to say, hey, you are doing this incredible job, this amazing job of loving on these women and these men who are in this situation. So that's what today is all about, is saying thank you. We want to show you gratitude for doing this awesome job.
Yeah, and I love that you're out here talking about it for two reasons. One, I think you're right, 37% of all births, but that's only what we know. And I think what we know about this topic is there are probably many more than that. And so you open a door, don't you, so that women could walk through and understand there are options. Can you talk about that? Because, women don't, in the middle of the crisis, as most of them think about this sometimes, is in the middle of the crisis, they think that they are alone in this. Aren't you really changing that narrative?
We are, because we believe that women and families should really have access to dedicated and trained professionals to help when they're facing these really hard situations, and I started my career as a pregnancy counselor a long time ago. We'll just say a long time ago. And, I think it's one of the most humbling things to be able to do is sit with women, and I'll say men, because we serve men and couples, and be able to say, what are you thinking? Where are you? Because you have a lot of people that are going to speak into their lives and judge them and say, you should do this or you should do that. But what they really need is somebody that's going to listen to them and stand in the gap with them and help them just through the decision-making process, that are going to help them figure out, what do you think is the right decision or the best decision, in a non-directive, non-coercive way, help them look at all the pros and cons of the decisions and help them come up with what they think is the right thing to do, not only for them, but for that baby, because it's really about the baby, and that's what our pregnancy counselors do.
Yeah. And what I love about what you're doing, so there's an element to this also, Heather, that is an element of education and information. And I think we should really stop and talk about that, because we assume that, women who are pregnant know what to do, know what this is all about. That's not necessarily true, but it really is a general population assumption.
And that's oftentimes what is an absolute statement, is that they don't have all the information they need. We have a lot of people that come to us that have inaccurate information about all the decisions. And so what we talk about is, Bethany is a life-affirming agency, but, there's three options out there. So we'll talk about, what do you know about all these options? Let's look at the pros and cons. And at the end of the day, they have to make a decision that they feel like is the right one for them. And, we talk about there's loss. No matter what decision you make, there's going to be loss involved. So let's look at these options. And many women don't even know what is true about adoption today. What is true about if you parent? What is true if you terminate your pregnancy? And let's look at this. And so when we talk about those options, we talk about, what is adoption today? Did you know that you can identify a family? Did you know that you could have ongoing pictures and updates? Did you know that you could have ongoing visits with your child? And, so it's important that they're very educated about those choices, and that they look at it from every angle, from every perspective, because our goal is to go through that decision-making process is that they have turned over every stone, that they feel as prepared as possible when they make that decision. Because they don't, what we don't want them to do is to go in and feel unprepared and not have all that information.
Yeah.
Because that's the wrong decision then for them.
Right. And, let's talk about this, you and I as women for a moment, if we could. When we're talking about this appreciation for these counselors, it is a deep appreciation, because one of the things you said is so important to recall, and that is these counselors, they are up close and personal, and they are objective. They literally are providing support and advice and resources, but they're providing that about options. And adoption is also a part of this, isn't it? And that doesn't even get talked about much. Can you say a little bit about that?
It is. And, sadly, it's often an option that many women don't even realize. We talk about Bethany is oftentimes the best kept secret out there, and adoption is as well. And so it's an option that we want them to be educated. Many women think there's only termination in parenting when they're facing an unintended pregnancy. And so we talk about, did you know that this is an option? Did you know that this is a way for you to kind of still finish high school or still finish college or still continue work? And when they look at it, and again, adoption's not easy. There's certainly losses involved in adoption as well. And so when they hear that perhaps I could place my child for adoption and know that my child's doing okay and have an ongoing relationship with my child and get to see my child and identify the family and have a relationship with them. And, if I'm parenting other children, they could have a relationship with my child. It makes it maybe more realistic that I could, move forward with placing my child for adoption. And so it opens up a third option for them to consider. And so that's what this counselor can help them do when they realize, oh my gosh, I didn't even know this was out there, because maybe they were thinking I could never do that because it was based on false information or old information. And so that's what counselors can help them do is give them information. And again, to emphasize, it's their decision. It's, we're not trying to force them to do something they don't want to do. If at the end of the day they decide to parent and it's a healthy parenting plan, we celebrate that with them. We connect them to community resources. If we have diapers, we give them diapers. If we have clothes, we give them clothes, and we're excited for them to do that. If they've got support, we help them make sure they've got the support they need, and we're excited for them. And that's, all of these services are free and there's no strings attached. And that's the beauty of being a pregnancy counselor is you can love on this mom and love on this mom and dad and be excited for them in whatever, decision that they feel like is the right one for them, because it's their decision and you're not judging them and you're not making it for them, because you get to go home at the end of the day and live your life and they have to live their lives. And, these services are in 36 states and around the country. And, we are about loving moms and loving dads and loving kids and bringing families together and keeping families together. And we are passionate about that. And we wanted to celebrate our counselors and say, you guys are amazing in what you do. And that's why we're doing this today, to say these are the unsung staff out there that don't get enough recognition.
Yeah. Let's make sure that we give people information, if we could, Heather, on how to find out more about you, if you don't mind, how they can find out more about the services. I know that you're sharing this message around the globe, but this is important for people to know. How do I find out? Who do I call? Where do I go?
Sure. So to learn more about pregnancy counseling or other services, you can go to our website. It's www.impregnant.org. That's impregnant.org. So www.impregnant.org. So if you're listening and you are pregnant or facing an unplanned pregnancy or know somebody that is, I want you to hear that we have pregnancy counselors right now that would love to come alongside and help you. You do not have to be alone. You do not have to be scared. They are amazing and will care well for you. So it's impregnant.org.
Oh, well, thank you so much for this. And I have one last question for you around this. We're going to make sure we share this information. Here you are talking with many, many people, doing many interviews. What is it that keeps you going? What is it that keeps you fired up to take this message out? And thank you for today.
I am humbled at the opportunity to serve. You know, I love what I do, Dr. Pat. I love that I see the courage and strength of those that we serve, you know, and I think that when you are facing an unintended or unplanned pregnancy, there's incredible strength in no matter what decision you make. And so the ability to intersect with somebody at that point in their life, I don't know, it's beyond words. And so I think when you're able to do that, I've done this for a long time, and when you're able to do that and see that kind of love in action, that keeps you going no matter how many years you do it. And so, yeah, I think that's what keeps me doing this kind of work. And I'm privileged to be able to do it at Bethany, and I can't imagine doing any other kind of work.
Oh, man. Thank you so much. Heather Bert, everybody. We'll see you all next time.